Welcome back to Business as a Magical Practice. So excited to be with you this week. Today we are doing a behind the scenes of my most recent launch, which was for the Alchemical Business Intensive. And this was the second time launching the 6-month mastermind and nearly doubled the revenue. The first launch was back in March or February, March of 2021, and we're now in October of 2021. And this time around, it was around $72,000 in revenue for the program, and just huge celebration around doubling that revenue. And if you want to hear my launch review from the first launch, which was very jam-packed with, because I've launched client programs dozens of times for $1 million programs and all the things, but it was the first time launching a program for myself because I had always worked one-on-one with people and gotten people coming in from referrals. So my first public launch, a lot of emotion behind it. So if you want to hear about that, go to episode 38, which was back on March 11th of 2021 for that episode. So the break, and this is going to be this is going to be less magical of an episode and way more just nuts and bolts, because just want to be open and honest with all of you. And a lot of people tend to ask me the nuts and bolts behind my launches. So here I am today for you. So the breakdown is we had 11 women come in this round for fall 2021, and the price ranged varied quite a bit between when they joined, because they did an early enrollment discount period, and then also what payment option and what level they were joining at. So the pricing was ranging between $5,000 and $9,900. So almost a $5,000 range in pricing. And what I did the same as last time is it's the same program. That's pretty straightforward, but it was launching the Alchemical Business Intensive the second time. And I love relaunching because it is so much easier than the first time through a program. Because when you're launching the first time, you have to get confidence behind the program. You have to believe in an offer that's not yet out in the world. You have to create all the assets like the sales page and the checkout page and all the promo emails and social media posts and images. There's a lot of things to create the first time you're launching a program. So I had a lot to work from this time around. And you've heard me talk about this in the past of how much I love relaunching for clients. It's because you don't actually, when people, all of us can create programs out of whimsy or out of desperation or out of a divine download, but you do have to back that with a long-term perspective for your business. And I mean, what do you want to be known for in the next 10 years? How can you start creating assets that are aligned with your long-term vision of your business? Because I mean, I'm in a long-term relationship with my business. I'm assuming you are too. I don't want to own another business. I know some people create businesses to sell later on, but most people I know, they're creating businesses because it's their soul calling or they're excited about it and they want it to be this long-term thing. So, okay, I'm 31 right now. And in 50 years, okay, maybe not 50 years, and let's say in 30 years, I might consider retiring. That would be like the normal retiring age at 61. So I have at least a 30-year relationship coming in my business. Okay, but that's an aside. I didn't mean to go down that tangent. So back to what I did the same for this second launch. And I touched on this, but reusing old Instagram posts, like I reused just about every single post from my first launch of the program. It was brilliant. I was reading through it and I was like, this stuff is fucking good. I'm going to use it again. Did some tweaks, did some updates. I did have some clarification on who the right customer or client was for the program. So I updated the Instagram posts and the emails that needed to be updated, but there was so much, like 90% of the copy was already done. I used the same sales page. Right? We created this beautiful sales page the first time around. Yes, there were tweaks and edits, but use the same sales page, use the same images. And another thing that I did the same as the first time around was a super long open enrollment window. Okay. a lot of people will use a 5-day to a 14-day open enrollment period for a program or for a course to really condense the energy and hype around when they can join, encourage people to make a decision. Well, I went in the opposite direction. I had a 3-month open enrollment period where I was actively promoting the program. That's a really, really long time. And there were some really good parts of it. There were some really not so good parts of it. And I personally hate the feeling of pressure. So for both launches, I just promoted way early and gave people a lot of room to decide. If you're familiar with human design, I have only 2 defined centers in my entire chart, the throat and the solar plexus. Is that the solar, whatever the emotional center is? I think it's the solar plexus. I'm not remembering off the top of my head. Those are the only 2 defined. Everything else is undefined in my chart, including my root center. So I have the tendency to feel pressure very often from life, from time. That's like a tendency I can fall back into. So I've created systems in my business because I'm my own CEO. I'm the business owner of my business, clearly. So I get to make decisions that are aligned with my natural energy flow. So a part of that is, how can I decrease the amount of pressure I put on myself? So I did a long enrollment window. And just in terms of when people joined, so I was promoting in July 2021, August, and September. And I had 3 people join in July, 5 people join in August, and 3 people join in September. So, I mean, it kind of went against what happened my first time around, where there was like 1 person who joined for like the first month or so that I was promoting, and like everyone joined last minute, like the last 2 weeks that it was opening enrollment. This time it was a much more steady flow of when people were joining. And the way I really did that is I did a price increase part of the way through, and I did an early bird bonus that you would get a bonus one-on-one call with me if you joined before a certain date. So I was encouraging people to join early, and they got very well, very big bonuses because of that. So moving on to what I did differently. I mean, as I mentioned, I upped the price of the entire program, and I used the price increase as an incentive to join the program early. So last round that I did the launch, it was $5,000 or a payment plan. And that $5,000 included monthly one-on-one calls with me within the program. This time around, I separated that out. So you can join the group program, or you can join the group plus get monthly one-on-one calls with me. And during the early bird period, it was $5,000 and $7,500. Okay. And then I did a price increase up to $6,000, $9,000. So $6,000 for the group program and $9,000 for the group program plus the monthly one-on-one and Boxer access with me. So I did a big price increase. That was a big change. And it was surprisingly not big drama for me, because I saw what incredible results people got in the first round. And there was that proof in front of me of yes, this works for this huge range of people. They got incredible, like above and beyond the results they were expecting. Of course, I'm going to increase the price. So another thing that was different is I had an affiliate this time around. So I engaged with Carolyn Elliott, who has been a longtime client of mine, to ask if she wanted to be an affiliate for the program. And it went really well. It brought in a ton of applications, which was both good and bad. So it was good because there were way more eyeballs. I mean, she has a very large email list, so tons and tons more eyeballs on the sales page and applying. And also bad because not everyone was a good fit. So I had to wade through a lot of applications and do a lot more sales calls than I would have if it was just coming from a warm audience of people. It was from a kind of cold audience because it was her audience and they didn't necessarily know me. Okay. Other things that I improved upon is, so from this is another reason I love relaunching programs, is because you get to improve the client experience of the program from one launch to the next, from one time you run it to the next. So it can get better over time. And things I improved upon was one-on-ones are now an add-on, because not everyone needed the one-on-ones or wanted the one-on-ones. So I was able to give a different pricing tier, as I mentioned. We also launched with launched the program, like not like launching for selling, but kicked off. There we go. We kicked off the program with a 3-day event. And this was an incredible improvement. I decided to actually do that about a month before the program actually started. So I had a good month of preparing for that 3-day event. And it allowed me to teach so much of the program ahead of time and set everyone up for success. And I didn't do that the round before. I was training throughout the 6 months together, but this time around, starting with a 3-day event actually allowed for people to start off on the right foot, to have a deep connection with everyone else in the container. And it makes it so that there's a lot more coaching and connection throughout the 6 months versus a lot of consumption of information. Another change to the program is we switched from Facebook to a Slack group. And I mean, I'm recording on October 11th, so we're only 11 days into this round. I'll circle back on Facebook versus Slack once we have a little bit more time in the program, but so far it's been really great. The people who I was having sales calls with were really excited that it's a group on Slack versus Facebook. So just from the first 11 days, I'm really satisfied with that change, but I'll have to do a follow-up podcast on creating community within Slack versus Facebook. Okay, the last big point I wanted to talk about, it was mindset during the launch. So honestly, I was really inconsistent. 3 months was a really long time to keep up with an intensive magical practice with a specific result in mind. So I just was inconsistent. I started off and I did different pieces of the 3 months where I was consistent in certain things, but just like the first round, I did Gyan chakra meditation, which is a Kundalini practice. I did mindset journaling, which is a specific mindset journaling that I go through pretty much every single day. And I did that. But other than that, I was just kind of moving forward and chilling and resting. And there wasn't a ton of monumental spell work or anything like that. So as a shield volcano archetype, if you listen to Alina Anderson's podcast, where I interviewed her on this podcast a few weeks ago, she diagnosed me in the podcast interview as a shield volcano. And that means I really love consistent growth and steady improvement. So watching this program, including this launch, come into its next evolution was really, really satisfying, and is really satisfying. And it's been amazing to be in relationship with a program and watch it evolve and improve and get better and better and better. So I'm already thinking about next launch. I'm already thinking about next time. I know I'm going to do a price increase again. I am going to do enrolling ahead of time, just like this time, but not do public promotion. Instead, it's something that people can join months ahead of time. There'll be bonuses and early access to special trainings if you join early, but only doing 1 month of actual launching, of promoting a launch event and doing a lot of sales emails and sales posts in just a 1 month instead of a 3 month, which is still a long window in the scheme of what other people think it is. So now I am celebrating 11 truly incredible, powerful women that are already on their way to getting their time back, their profits up, and building beautiful friendships and having an immense impact on the world through their soul's work. And just, I mean, again, we're only 11 days in, and being able to see the amazing feedback we're getting back of how much just 3 days has blown their minds has been so fun. So I want to know, what questions do you have about launching? I know this is a more casual setup and discussion, definitely go check that first launch episode where I go in depth of that first launch. Because this episode, I'm pretty much just comparing it to my first launch. Because I'd love to answer your questions about launching in our next very special episode, which will be episode 88. And next week, we have Caroline Knight on the podcast to talk about cacao and body wisdom. So I will see you next Thursday.